Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. Yeah, you know what it is. Hard worker, scrappy, unfiltered, and sometimes unhinged football content. Hard to explain, but you know it when you see it. Doing it daily our way. I don't know what you're talking about right now. Redraft and Dynasty Fantasy Football, we got you covered. You know their defense is ranked like 31st in the NFL? NFL draft prospects and rookies? Now you know you in the right place for that.
Absolutely.
All right, then stop saying it. Then we're done. And prop bets with my man Ray JRich. Count that money, man. Now wipe the crust out of your eyes, get you a cup of coffee. It's time to wake your ass up with Ray G. You honestly are making absolutely no sense and you sound silly as hell. GMGP. Welcome in, everybody. It is Monday, April 1st, 2024. Y'all decided to wake y'all asses up with Ray G, and for that, I appreciate each and every last one of y'all in the damn building this morning. We're going to have a show, and I see my fam in the building. What's going on, baby? Toronto Dave in the building. What's happening with you? Rico Stone, Patrick Price. Patrick been hanging out with Didi all damn weekend. We had a 4-hour live stream in the Discord. Scott and I recorded a new addition to the War Game series this weekend that will drop this week. Patrick was chilling with us all damn weekend. What's happening with you, baby? Shane Joe in the building. Marlon, Rubio. We got Garrison, Young Droolin, Marlon in the building. My girl Gretchen. Good morning to you, Gretchen. DD fam, how are you doing? My girl, we got Zach in the building. THB 11, Cold World TDE. I think I saw Nicholas Nelson saying game time in the building. JRich, cut the music. It's time to go, baby. We got a lot to talk about. NFL action. Last night, Scott and I did a 2024 rookie mock draft with some wild settings. Start 2 quarterback, 2.0 tight end reception. So make sure you go to the YouTube channel or you check out the podcast feed a little bit later today so you can check out that episode of Destination Chill last night. If you're playing any crazy type formats, we talked through the strategy around these type of formats where it's point per carry, heavily tight end premium, start 2 quarterback, 12-team PPR. Check out the mock draft Scott and I did last night and his continuation on the Rookie War series this morning on Destination Devy Radio, where he dives into that in Destination Dynasty. And y'all know what it is, baby. Promo code Triple D. This is the last week. If you are not signed up on Underdog Fantasy, go to Underdog Fantasy right now. Deposit $10. Hell, deposit $100. They will match you dollar for dollar up to $100. But here's the one thing that entry using promo code DDD does for you. Get you into our draft stream giveaway contest. We're giving away jerseys, membership access to our Discord, roster reviews, and much, much more. We're doing that night 1, night 2, and night 3 of the 2024 NFL draft. And the only way you get access into that contest is by signing up using code Triple D. So use code DDD, 100% deposit match, get on the Underdog games, and get in on the Destination Devy draft. JRich, how you doing this morning, baby? It's time to bring you up to the screen. How was your weekend? How you doing, good friend? All that other stuff. What's happening with you, Jay?
It was a good weekend, man.
Once I find out to get you to the screen, I will bring you up here. What's happening with you, Jay?
I was going to help you out for the podcast listeners and just start talking anyways, but it was a good weekend, man. Baseball finally kicked off, so I was excited for that. Man, it's going to be a good year. I don't know if people have been watching Juan Soto, but my goodness, Ray. The Yankees.
You were excited about Juan Soto and those Yankees this weekend. You were excited about those Yankees this weekend.
I'm a Red Sox fan, but holy hell. I don't know what happened with Juan Soto in San Diego, but this guy looks like the best player in baseball. Like, Shohei Ohtani is the best, most talented player because he can do 2 things. But, man, Juan Soto is going to be fun to watch. And if you are a casual baseball fan or a casual Yankee fan, like a lot of people are, I would definitely suggest you watch some Juan Soto because at least for this year, he will be there. And, Ray, I don't know how the Yankees avoid not paying him because already after sweeping the Astros throughout the weekend, they are looking like a legit contender with Juan Soto, and that's with Aaron Judge really not doing much of anything. So I'm excited baseball is back. Very excited for that. But we have a lot of things going on. The Final Four is set. We have the Women's Elite Eight is the next 2 days?
I watched very little men's
basketball. Neither of us watched any games. Haven't watched a single tournament game. I watched about 30 baseball games this week already. But for everyone who's excited about the Final Four, get excited, man. Purdue made it. I thought they'd choke. They were out of my
I'll tell
bracket,
you,
I think, to the
we don't care
Zags.
about men's Final Four. We don't care about the men's Final Four. What we do care about tonight is the rematch, Civil War 3.0, going down in women's college basketball. Iowa versus that evil LSU and Kim Mulkey. Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, Haley Van Lith is going down. I know more damn women's college players than I do the men's, and it's not even close. I will be locked in with a bag of popcorn, some Moet, watching this game from start to finish. Iowa, LSU tonight. Jay, who you got?
Ooh, man, that's... You know me. I'm all in on women's college basketball, so I know all the numbers, all the stats. No, man, I think LSU's going to win again, honestly. They know how to play Caitlin Clark probably better than most teams in the country, and I think that's going to be the difference. That experience playing her for the first time would be extremely difficult, but playing her for the third time, you have a much better understanding of how you need to attack her, how you can try to limit her offensively, how you can defend her, how you can throw players at her to get her off balance. Not going to be easy, but LSU is a phenomenal team, and I think they will find a way, use their championship DNA to win. Tough section of the bracket, though. The bracketeers or the bracket makers putting those two together in the Elite Eight is an absolute travesty, but it is going to be a great game tonight, but I do think LSU will get it done.
And we also get Juju Watkins and LSU versus Paige Buckers and Paige Buckets.
That's USC, right?
Juju? USC and UConn.
Yeah.
They also play. So I'll be watching the USC Trojans. Juju Watkins is a beast. Juju Watkins is fantastic. Awesome.
She takes too many shots, though. She takes so many shots.
You know what?
You look at her box score, it's like 15 for 40 every game.
First Elite Eight performance in 30 years for USC. She could take as many damn shots as she wants to. As many shots as need be. But let's pivot to the NFL, Jay, and talk about story that was in the news. Big story for
Local
a variety
story for
of
you.
reasons. Big story. But we got some news that happened out of the NFL yesterday. And Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl winning rookie wide receiver Rashee Rice found himself in some hot water, Jay, after some videos and images and police reports and details have surfaced about an accident that happened out here in Dallas. I believe it was Saturday that all of this went down. I believe it was Saturday. It may have been Sunday morning.
Yeah, it was a bit of both.
Rashee Rice potentially under investigation for a 4-car accident. Looks like some racing was going on between a couple of vehicles. Could have been a very, very, very bad situation for not just Rashee Rice, but the individuals involved in that accident. You know, it's just selfish acts. Scott and I kind of talked about it last night. Definitely a dumb decision. If Rice were there, if he were driving, if he was involved, wild decision to do that. But ultimately, where Scott and I kind of ended on this last night is, while a dumb decision in light of the NFL and what the NFL does, and I know a lot of people react when we first hear news, we talked about what's the worst that's going to happen to Rashee Rice. The worst thing, a couple of games. I'm thinking probably a game suspension. I'm not trying to sell Rashee Rice. If anybody, I saw some deals where people were moving him for the 210 in 2024. If you think his career is over, people saying Henry Ruggs 2.0. And again, I don't want to make light of this because this could have very well been an awful situation for everybody involved, but it wasn't. We've seen worse. I don't believe that the repercussions and the fallout from the NFL is going to be significant enough to derail any fantasy impact that Rashee Rice was going to have on the field. But it could make Kansas City say, you know, this isn't the first time we kind of heard some stuff about him. I don't know if we want to build around him. Maybe it makes them a slightly more inclined to draft another receiver earlier than maybe anticipated, with Snead being gone.
That happened with
them
Tyreek
bringing
Hill,
in
right?
Hollywood Brown. Maybe they're just like, we might need to take that A.D. Mitchell or Keon Coleman or Xavier Worthy, whomever it is. What are your thoughts on the Rice situation? And, you know, briefly, what do you think the fallout will be from the NFL?
Yeah, I think the sad part is that with the NFL, a lot of times, and honestly, a lot of leagues are like this, it really depends on what happened, right? Even with suspensions, how hurt did the player get with the act that you committed, right? What was the ultimate result? Luckily for everyone involved, it wasn't a serious wreck. No one was severely injured. Nobody died. And I think that works very much in Rashee Rice's favor, for better or worse. It is important to note that we can't confirm he was there. There was videos. It looked like him. yada, yada, yada. The reason he's connected is because the car that crashed was registered to his name, which is what's linking him to this story. So we'll see what comes of it. I don't think anything's going to happen, but your point about the draft is important because that was the reason the Chiefs drafted Mecole Hardman in the second round, was in case Tyreek Hill got suspended and wasn't able to play. So what comes of it? Probably a minor suspension. I don't think it's going to hurt him long term. I think this happening in his second season gives him 3 years to build equity with the organization, to build that trust to where he could be there for the long term. If this was, towards the end of his contract, then potentially there could be concerns that he's not on the team going forward. But I think there's plenty of time for him to earn that trust back, to do everything right. But yeah, if it is end up being him, it's not a good look for him. But I think ultimately not much going to come of it outside of maybe a 3 to 4 game suspension. And even that seems pretty bold for the NFL based off how they suspend guys recently.
Yeah, different reports in the chat. Chris Davis says he wasn't driving, according to ESPN. You see some other ones. Garrison said 4-game suspension. Mark H said if it's just a 1-game suspension, that's a bad look on the NFL. They need to clamp down on this after Ruggs killed someone. But you can't. That's not how life.
Yeah,
that's not how life works. You don't
manslaughter
because somebody else killed somebody. Now nobody can have a gun. That's not. He did not kill somebody. Henry Ruggs did. Those are 2 different situations. And anytime you get behind the wheel of a car, like I'm not, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that sentiment from Mark. I love you, big dog, but I don't agree with that. You can't preemptively suspend somebody a year because somebody else did something that the outcome was completely different than the outcome that happened in this one. And I'm not defending Rashee Rice, but just the lawyer in me, that's not how the justice system works.
Shit, man.
Yeah, that's not how it works, man. It's not how it works. So we've got a lot to talk about. Matt Miller dropped a 7-round NFL mock draft a couple of days ago, Jay, and we have not been able to dive into this. 7 freaking rounds, dude. That's a lot of picks, right? That is a lot of picks. So we've got to get through that. And we're going to just focus on the fantasy relevant players because it is 7 freaking rounds. We're not going to talk about Enos Rakestraw, the cornerback out of Missouri. We're not going to talk about Johnny Newton, the defensive tackle out of Illinois. We're just going to stay on the fantasy relevant players, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end, and just kind of talk through it, right? And just kind of talk through this stuff. So let's pull up the board. Matt Miller's mock, ESPN. Check it out. Dropped a few days ago. But at the top, Jay, what do we have starting this thing off? Nothing too shocking, right?
No, Caleb Daniels to Chicago and Washington. This has been probably 2 to 3 weeks now, pretty much post-combine. We've seen Jayden Daniels has been the favorite to go to Washington, and there was even, the video of Brian Kelly saying that he's going to be a great quarterback in Washington at the pro day. I don't know if that was fabricated or not. Maybe it was, but I thought it was really funny if that actually was true. But yeah, Caleb Williams, number 1 to Chicago after trading Fields. They're going to take a quarterback. It's going to be Caleb Williams, and then Jayden Daniels to Washington at 2. But 3, Ray, we got a trade. It gets spicy. I don't know how much I like this, but the Patriots trade out of 3. They get 11 and 23 from the Minnesota Vikings, and the Minnesota Vikings select
and a first rounder in 2025. So they got 11, 23, and a 25 first rounder.
That's all right. I'll take that. And they draft Drake May. So Drake May still QB3. No surprises there. But Ray, how do you feel about that top 3? How do you feel about Drake May in Minnesota? We haven't really talked about Drake May in Minnesota.
Yeah, the more that this goes on, and I love Debro and Thor, they're the ones pushing damn McCarthy to Minnesota. They are leading that train. But I'm seeing a lot more Drake May to Minnesota than J.J. McCarthy in these mocks. Reports are he's more of Kevin O'Connell's type of quarterback. 100%. We'll see how it plays out. I think both. I like Drake May in Minnesota. To answer your direct question, I like Kevin O'Connell with Drake May. I like this fit. I like this pairing. But let's talk about the 4th pick. Talk about it. We got a trade between the Arizona Cardinals and the Denver Broncos, who are moving up for a quarterback. Quarterbacks don't just go 1, 2, 3 to start the draft. They go 1, 2, 3, 4. And what Matt Miller says is, I think it would be in the realm of the 12th overall pick, a 2025 first rounder, and a 2026 first round pick, a la the Trey Lance deal. And the Denver Broncos jump up and select J.J. McCarthy, quarterback out of Michigan, the new starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos, throwing the ball to Marvin Mims and Courtland Sutton. What do you think about this trade? Arizona jumping out of the 4 spot, taking 2 first, moving back 8 picks, and Denver selecting J.J. McCarthy. Wow.
Sounds like a potential train wreck in the making. It really does not sound like it's going to turn out too well for the Broncos. I mean, I understand that they need a quarterback desperately, and JJ McCarthy could be that answer. But trading 3 first-round picks to get JJ McCarthy just feels like, how are you going to support this player down the line, right? How are you going to make this team so much better? I just don't know how it's going to come together. Obviously, they have to kind of figure that out, but it just feels like another potential swing and miss for the Denver Broncos. I mean, no first-round picks, Ray. How are you going to get your receivers? Because so many of the talented receivers are first-rounders now. And when you get beyond that, the hit rates and the potential upside for those guys goes down tremendously. So I like J.J. McCarthy. I don't mind him in that Sean Payton offense, but 3 first-round picks, the potential to build a team over the long term with J.J. McCarthy at the helm while he's on that rookie contract definitely feels like it'd be difficult without those first-round picks to add some maneuverability, some flexible assets. It's just a lot to give up for J.J. when... I mean, realistically,
how do you feel about the fit in Denver? Like, the fit in Denver, I think everybody, at least in the chat, feels like this is quite a bit to give up for McCarthy, but it happens. They do it. They draft him. You got to make a decision in fantasy. How do you like the conference, the situation, the scheme, just initial reactions to this?
I wouldn't take him in the first round. I wouldn't. I don't think he's going to be a first-round quarterback. People will. Don't get me wrong. People will. But I don't think I would take him before maybe pick 11, pick 12 in the first round of a rookie draft. Ultimately, we know it's going to be a run-first offense, especially with McCarthy at the helm. He can run a run-first offense. He's great at that. But what's the upside in Sean Payton's offense when you're going to be running the ball a lot? Probably not a ton. You look at what Russ did. Can McCarthy be better than Russ? In some areas, for sure. But in some areas, it'll be a lot of the same. They'll take more shots. They won't be as conservative. But ultimately, I think he's probably not going to be more than QB 15, 16 in his rookie season at best. And at that point, you're projecting him to be higher than that. I don't think the volume would be there. And for me, it's like, why would I waste a first-round pick on him for the potential that he could be great? I just don't think he's going to be in Denver. I don't think it's a great spot. Do you feel any differently?
I don't know, man. I think it's a little unfair for us to judge Denver off of what they did last year when clearly it was dysfunctional. You could tell, the after effect, right? You could tell that Peyton and Russell Wilson did not vibe. I don't know. Maybe Sean Payton's a good coach. Sean Payton is a good football coach. He is a good coach. And even have that Broncos team in the position that they were last year, after I believe they started out, 0-5, 1-6, something crazy like that.
Yeah.
He's a good coach.
Defense turnaround, though. This is really the defense that made the difference.
A situation that a lot of people just don't really know. A lot of uncertainty around the Denver Broncos, especially offensively right now, Jay. So I think that's a lot to move up to get McCarthy. But here we go. In this scenario, in this mock, Marvin Harrison Jr. goes number 5 overall to the Chargers, followed by Malik Neighbors going number 6 to the Giants. So nothing, again, too crazy here. We've seen Marv mock to the Chargers. We've seen Neighbors mock to the Giants over the course of the past couple of months. So nothing too crazy here. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about that. We've got Joe Alt, Dallas Turner, but you do have Rome Odunze and Brock Bowers heading to offensive landing spots. You've got Odunze going to the Bears, paired with Caleb Williams, Keenan Allen, and DJ Moore, along with Cole Kmet and Gerald Everett now. I believe he's in Chicago. And then you've got the New York Jets selecting Brock Bowers, a tight end, and a team that we have talked about being a fit for Aaron Rodgers and what the Jets want to do. New look offense with Mike Williams opposite Garrett Wilson. Odunze in Chicago, quickly, Jay, because we got 6 more rounds to get through. How does he fit in year 1, hell, maybe even year 2, in an offense that has Keenan Allen and DJ Moore there? I'm not saying do you drop Odunze down, but are you a little more like, I don't know what I'm getting at. Is this JSN situation 2.0 with Odunze in Chicago?
Oh, very well could be. Very well could be. I think that's a great way to kind of put it. It could be that situation for him. Obviously, love Keenan Allen, love DJ Moore. I think the fact that he will go through rookie camp with Caleb Williams may help him a little bit, but ultimately those top 2 guys are going to get the targets. So he's probably looking at, 60, 70 targets depending on the volume and what we see in Chicago. I still don't love Bowers on the Jets, though. I think it's they have Mike Williams.
You have not been enamored by this spot. You have not really felt this spot the entire process.
I mean, you look at Rodgers' history, he has some success with tight ends, but not a ton. But you look at what they had with Wilson. We know he's going to get the ball to Wilson. I think he's going to love Mike Williams. Mike Williams seems like the kind of target that he would really enjoy having, a big body guy he can throw it up to. Bowers will get his, and he'll be good for a tight end, but I don't know if he's going to be this phenomenal target guy that we want to see for fantasy football. Odunze in Chicago is interesting. Still would be wide receiver 3. Wouldn't go crazy in that regard. I think you look at kind of that 6 to 8 range. We haven't really found that guy that we really want, and guys are just kind of falling there, and it'd be okay. Chicago's just interesting because they have a new quarterback.
Mark calling you
OC.
out. Get him, Mark. Get him, Mark. Did I just hear Jay say, I love DJ Moore? That's what I'm talking about, Mark. Get on his ass this morning, Mark. There we go. There we go.
So I'm the guy that gets shit on like crazy for saying that Justin Fields is no good, and 2 years later, this guy is off the team because he couldn't cut it. And because I said that DJ Moore wouldn't be a top 15 top 10, I believe, wide receiver.
No, you said he wouldn't be top
with Justin Fields.
You said they wouldn't be a top 20 combination.
Might have said 20. Definitely said 10. Definitely said 15. Might have said 20. DJ Moore was great. He did mess up Washington.
All right.
But we can continue, though. Bowers, I don't love. Talk about Bowers very quickly.
Robert said, I agree. For some reason, I don't care for Bowers on the Jets. I think Cole World said he didn't care for Bowers on the Jets. There were like 5 people that said they didn't like it. About 5 people who said they did not like that fit, Jay. So, all right, maybe I'm on an island with this one. Maybe I'm on an island. Luke said he didn't like it either. But let's go back to the
Top 5 tight end for you out the gate on the Jets?
What'd you say?
Top 5 tight end out of the gate for you on the Jets?
No.
Okay.
No.
Top 7?
Probably not. No.
Close. Okay.
No,
so he's fine.
I would, for this year, I still think Njoku, McBride, Andrews, Kelsey, Kincaid, Sam Laporta, those are probably better options in year 1 opposed to Brock Bowers in New York. But we do have Brian Thomas Jr. with the trade down from Arizona with Denver. Brian Thomas Jr. going 12 overall to the Cardinals. That is big. I'm just going to say it, Jay. And Scott and I talked about this last night. Every single mock that I'm reading right now, and again, this no one knows, has Bo Nix in the first round. Every single one. I don't care if it's Kuiper, Reed, Miller, this guy, that guy. D-Bro, I know Thor said whoever drafts Bo Nix in round 1 should be investigated for mental illness. I think it was, something like that. But every damn one, we're seeing Nix in the first, Jay. We're seeing Bo in the first round. I don't know, man. I like Brian Thomas in Arizona. I think this would be very good for Trey McBride. Bo Nix in Vegas?
Terrible for Devontae Adams.
You don't like it? You don't like it?
Terrible for Adams. Where are the downfield targets going to come from? They're not. They're not going to be there. It's funny. People got us in the comments last week because we forgot to mention Gardner Minshew signing with the Raiders and talking about Michael Penix competing with Aiden O'Connell for the starting job. But, Ray, do you think Bo Nix would start if he got drafted 13th overall, knowing they signed Gardner Minshew in the offseason? At some point he would.
Absolutely.
But you don't think he'd be the start? This is week 1.
I wouldn't bank on him week 1, but at some point he's starting. There's no doubt about it. At some point he's starting, Jay. At some point he's starting. Let's continue down the draft board. Let me see. Got the Cowboys. Got the Tampa Bay Bucks. All right, here we go. We got some more. Here we go. Dak Prescott. Here we go. Buffalo Bills, Adnan Mitchell here at 28, Jay. 80 Mitchell, 28 to Buffalo. Easily, you can kind of envision him in this Gabe Davis role alongside Stephon Diggs. This, again, don't need to spend a lot of time here because this is a fit with a team, with a player. And I just want to shout out my man Damian Parson, Draft Network, DP. We were texting last night. And he said, direct quote from DP in the text last night. I'm going to read this off, Jay, what he said to me, because I don't want to get him wrong. He said, man, AD Mitchell is not as good, in my opinion, as the world makes him seem. Said he's got some questions from NFL scouts. They're concerned with some things, some effort. He's got all the talent in the world, but when he's not the primary read, he mails it in too often, checks out, mentally in and out of games, in the middle of games, even though he's talented. So there's a lot of people who are a little hesitant on that effort.
Was it him who tweeted that out? I saw someone tweet that out, like I think a week ago. Someone tweeted that out, how like you can really tell when he's not the guy on a play. It's obvious, right?
It's obvious.
And like everyone knows
you can't do that. Can't do that.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
Fit's good,
Baltimore
though.
Ravens.
Probably overdrafted in rookie drafts, in my opinion.
We're doing him, and he's going like at the top of the second, so I can't.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, he's going at the top of the second in our community.
I still don't think
so
they take a receiver, man.
I don't know if that's really overdrafting him at that point. But Lad McConkey, the Ravens just go Zay Flowers, another one, just the white version of Zay Flowers. So they go Lad McConkey. So more smallish, quick receivers to do some stuff in the offense. So you got Zay Flowers, Lad McConkey probably just causing problems for defensive backs because these jitterbug type receivers just out there routing up cats. It'd be one of the nastiest route running rooms in the NFL, I'll tell you that, with Zay Flowers and Lad McConkey. And then we scroll down the board, and then we kind of talked about this at the beginning of the show, but the Kansas City Chiefs in this mock take Xavier Worthy, and that is on the heels of Rashee Rice and the incident with the racing and all of that other stuff that's going on with him. And like I said, we'll see how all of that plays out when it's all said and done. But Kansas City takes a wide receiver, and we kind of talked about this at the beginning of the show. They take a wide receiver, and it's one that everybody likes. It's Xavier Worthy. It's that speed. It's going to make people think about Tyreek Hill. And probably no better time to plug one of the giveaways on the draft stream than talking about Rashee Rice. Yes, you can too win what could be a throwback jersey of Rashee Rice if the Kansas City Chiefs are just done with him. But you can win a brand new Rashee Rice autographed jersey using code DDD. Underdog Fantasy, sign up, enter 2 entries to win you a Rashee Rice jersey as the Kansas City Chiefs draft his replacement in Matt Miller's mock. So, Jay, perfect timing with that one. But the Kansas City Chiefs, X-Worthy to round it out. Another fit player team that we've seen a lot. We are going to move on to round 2 of this mock. But anything surprising that jumped out in round 1 for you?
I think a little bit with the Ravens taking a receiver. I don't think I've seen that at all this offseason. While they could definitely use one to add to that receiving room, it's not something I necessarily expected from them. I expect them kind of go more the offensive line because they lost a few pieces in the offseason. But yeah, I mean, Baltimore getting Lad McConkey would be huge for Lamar Jackson. Don't love the fantasy fit, but I think it'd be great for the team. And honestly, Ray, I think he could be the wide receiver 1 for the Ravens, at which point he probably would be pretty fantasy relevant. It's really just worthy on the Chiefs.
Over Flowers?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Revisionist
100%.
History has hit you hard, my friend. You didn't even know who Lad McConkey was 6 weeks ago, and now he have
been calling him McConkey since last season.
Last season, okay.
Long been knowing about McConkey. That's my guy. We have a personal connection. Okay?
Let's go
First
round
rounder,
2.
Lad McConkey.
Let's go round 2.
I really like this pick. We have been waiting for the Carolina Panthers to draft a receiver. And Matt Miller, by golly, he finally did it. He finally gave them a receiver that is worthy of playing outside. And it's not Xavier Worthy. It is Xavier Legette, the wide receiver out of South Carolina. Ray would be a great fit. Could he be Mike Evans in the Dave Canales offense for the Carolina Panthers and Bryce Young? How do you feel about that comparison to Mike Evans action?
Listen. I like the fit. I don't know if I'm a compliment to Mike Evans, but I think he could play maybe that field stretching role. For Canales. I think he and Adam Thielen and Deontay Johnson complement each other very well. I think those 3 complement each other. And I would just say this would not scare me off from drafting another receiver if I'm Canales and Carolina a little bit later as well. We'll see what they do. But I do like the fit of Legette in Carolina. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, this is just Jonathan Mingo 2.0. I would highly encourage you to turn on the tape because they are not the same player. They are not one and the same. They may have bigger body builds, but that's about it. That's the only thing in likeness that they are outside of skin color. So I do not believe that Xavier Legette and Jonathan Mingo are the same player. Keon Coleman to the New England Patriots. He is being paired up with Who did they take? Oh, they took Olu Fashanu. They went O-line in round 1. So Keon Coleman would be Jacoby Brissett's new wide receiver 1 for the New England Patriots. And you know what? Here at 34, I don't mind Keon Coleman to New England. If things don't work out with Jacoby Brissett, they'll be drafting high in 2025, and maybe they'll take Shedeur Sanders to pair with Keon Coleman in 2025. Who knows? Let's scroll down the board some more and see what other offensive skill position players we get. And off of the board here at 45, Jay,
Ooh.
Roman Wilson, wide receiver from the Michigan Wolverines, taking his talents to the Big Easy, going to New Orleans to play for Derek Carr and Dennis Allen and the New Orleans Saints next to Chris Olave. Seems like he kind of plays like Chris Olave a little bit. They're sort of in a similar role, but I like this, man. You got the team of two light-skinned brothers down there playing receiver. It could be nice down in New Orleans. I like the fit of Roman Wilson with the Saints, and more importantly, the capital being a top 50 pick is perfect for him. Michael Penix Jr., Jay, 47 overall to the Giants. Penix 47 to the Giants.
Okay.
Top 50 pick to the Giants. Talk about Mr. Penix, Mr. 446 himself. Michael Penix out there running faster than Rome Odunze. Now, who had that on the bingo card? Odunze and Penix lines up. Penix is smoking his ass in a race. Did you have that on the bingo card?
Whoever
do you believe it?
Set up that test?
Do you believe it?
The biggest raise of their entire life. There is no way in hell he runs a 4.46. I'm sorry, Michael Penix. If you did it in front of me, I'd believe you. But there is no way, man. There is no way. But I really like the fit on the Giants. Daniel Jones is only there for one more season, and he is gone. At which point, Michael Penix could take over, and could take over even this year if Jones is bad enough. And there's always the chance, Ray, that Jones isn't quite ready for the season, and they roll with Penix anyways. There is that chance. So I really like this fit. They obviously it was neighbors in the first round, right? It kind of sucks they didn't get Odunze, try and pair them together. But either way, they'd have neighbors. They'd have some talent. The running back position still in flux, but they got Singletary. They are trying to figure things out for the offensive line, but I would like Penix there. I think with Daboll, he could definitely do some things over the long term, and I'd love to see how he developed in New York.
Yeah, and for those of y'all who are being, it's a joke. We know he didn't run a 4.46. It wasn't official, but that was the first reported time coming out of that pro day was a 4.46, and everybody was like, what? All right, Ricky Pearsall, Cincinnati Bengals at 49, and you've got Malachi Corley going to the Steelers. I think Pearsall to Cincinnati is a phenomenal fit. He feels like a natural replacement for Tyler Boyd in that slot, and at least with T. Higgins and Jamar on the team together for this season, for right now, would seem like a really good fit inside with Joe Burrow. This is one I think you would find some drafts, Jay, where people would prefer Pearsall to Leggett, Pearsall to Keon Coleman. Hell, maybe even Pearsall over A.D. Mitchell, who was drafted 28th overall, to the Buffalo Bills. I do believe that being a top 50 pick, going to the Cincinnati Bengals, just looking at how Tyler Boyd, he didn't put up eye-popping numbers over the past couple of years, but they were solid. I think people would talk themselves into Ricky Pearsall in this fit in Cincinnati in particular. I think people would really, really talk themselves into this fit. Corley to Pittsburgh.
How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I like the player personally just right now. I don't really care for the fit with that offense and all of the moves that they've made that indicates that they want to run the ball a lot more. Arthur Smith just really wouldn't like that fit of Corley in Pittsburgh with George Pickens and company. You've got Devontae Walker going to the Philadelphia Eagles, and we've been talking about Philly needing a third receiver. Quez Watkins is out of the picture. You've got to get that field stretching option right there to help open stuff up for Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith. So Tez Walker, maybe a little rich for my personal NFL draft capital appetite, but
higher than most.
Higher than most, but I think it's a good fit in Philadelphia. Fantasy-wise, I really wouldn't have a lot of interest. It would still be A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Yeah, we literally talked about this last week with a player like Xavier Worthy potentially going there. His Hurts, he's supporting 4 pass catchers along with his rushing upside. So I think the answer to that is probably no. We get the Dallas Cowboys taking Jonathan Brooks at 56 overall, another pick that we see often in mock drafts, so not going to spend a lot of time there. I think we all would like the fit of any running back playing for the Dallas Cowboys in 2024. And we scroll down the board and finish up round 2. You've got Troy Franklin going to the Detroit Lions, and that wraps up round 2. So Troy Franklin back of the second round to play alongside Jameson Williams. How are you feeling? Franklin in Detroit. Who else did we hit before we got to Franklin? Brooks in Dallas. We don't need to spend a lot of time about that one. So Franklin in Detroit, how you feel about this spot?
It's fine. I think, we've talked about this before, where is that a sign that they're kind of sick of Jameson Williams and him not really being the guy they want him to be? I mean, you look at what both these guys do. I mean, Franklin gets comped to Jameson Williams all the time. So at that point, what are we really doing? Is Franklin going to take his job? What are they going to do with Jameson Williams? Can he even assume that role? There's a lot of questions with that pick, especially for fantasy football. I think at that point, he's pretty much off my board unless he's like a third rounder or beyond that, because even when you look at the targets, they're probably not going to be there unless for some reason he assumes that wide receiver 2 role, and that's somehow ahead of Laporta, which I don't see happening. It's Amon-Ra, it's Laporta, it's probably Gibbs, and then you're looking at Jameson Williams, Troy Franklin. So for fantasy football, basically a non-factor for me. But I think from a team fit perspective, if he was to assume that Jameson Williams role and actually thrive in it, it would be great for the Detroit Lions.
Luke said good news for Amon-Ra St. Brown if they take Franklin. I mean, I think Amon-Ra is pretty much cemented into where he is. I don't think anything, anybody, or any situation is going to take anything away from Amon-Ra St. Brown. He is certified at this point in time, Jay. So let's move on to round 3 of Miller's mock and see what we got popping in round 3. And right here, 68th overall, a few picks after the start of round 3. Jalen McMillan, the other wide receiver from Washington, not Jalen Polk, coming off of the board before Polk here in the 3rd round of the New England Patriots, followed by Jatavian Sanders, tight end out of Texas, going to the LA Chargers. This could also be a nice little spot for Sanders down the line with Justin Herbert. I know they brought in, I think, Big Montana Will Dissly, but they did lose Gerald Everett as well. So JT Sanders going to the Chargers in this mock. We scroll down a little bit more, and what do we have here? The Las Vegas Raiders going to USC to draft Jerry Rice's son, Brendan Rice here, 77th overall. Brendan Rice going to learn from Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers. I don't mind this one at all. Jay, talk about the Bengals right here. Here we go. Bengals taking a running back. Who do they go with?
Jaylen Wright, running back out of Tennessee. This is really interesting because they have Chase Brown, who is quite explosive, but I think you think about that 3rd down, change of pace back, like that's what Jaylen Wright could be for this offense. They already have Zach Moss and Brown to kind of handle the primary rushing duties. We did see Chase Brown thrive in the pass catching role last season, but if they wanted to get a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more moxie, a little bit more speed, Jaylen Wright could definitely do that for them in the 3rd round. I mean, that'd be a pretty good fantasy fit as well. The way that they utilize the running back position pretty heavily. I know Zach Moss is going to be involved, but if Jaylen Wright could find his way into that offense, that speed and pass catching ability and dynamic playmaking that he can do could be scary in Cincy because there's not a lot of weapons. Like we talked about Pearsall and what he could be in Cincinnati, that'd be great. But if they added to Jaylen Wright as well, man, that'd be a dynamic offense for Joe Burrow.
Yeah, and you can see the speed right here on the video. If you're not watching on YouTube, make sure you go to DestinationDevy.com. You can see the speed that Jaylen Wright possesses. Again, right up the gut. He's the type of player that has that home run hitting ability, Jay. He's got an ability to take, a 3rd down draw play and go the distance. So Jaylen Wright to Cincinnati in this offense. You've added Ricky Pearsall. You've got Chase. You've got Burrow. They've upgraded their offensive line. This would be a nice fit for Cincinnati if they do indeed go running back position. All right, let's pull the mock back up and go through some more landing spots and talk about some of the positions. Trey Benson of the Cleveland Browns. What do you think about this pick?
Just another scary indicator about Nick Chubb. They keep bringing in running backs, man. Like, Miller's saying Cleveland has to find a reliable runner behind Nick Chubb, and maybe that's true. I thought they had some pretty good running backs. Right?
It's called respect to Chubb. They need to find a running back that could be there if Chubb's not ready. It's paying some respect to Nick Chubb. This is scary.
It's scary more for Nick Chubb, I think, than anything else. Like they do have backs that can fill that A role or can be in a committee. They don't have a guy who can be the guy, and Benson maybe could be that, but all indication for me says Nick Chubb, there's a chance he may not be ready. And I think that's the scariest part for fantasy football. Not so much whether Trey Benson goes there, because he's probably not going to do much if he goes there. Eventually, Chubb's going to come back, and he's going to be the starter.
Jay, I love this pick. Can you read it off? Cowboys pick. I absolutely love this selection by Dallas. I think it's a good football fit. We'll talk the fantasy aspect of it, but from a football standpoint, I think it's a phenomenal fit.
So the Dallas Cowboys select wide receiver out of Washington, Jaylen Polk, right? I was surprised to see McMillan go ahead of Polk, but how do you feel about Polk going to the Dallas Cowboys in the 3rd round? And McMillan, I believe, was top of the 2nd round? Or he's top of the 3rd round,
I would love it. I think he's the type of physical. He's the type of physical Z wide receiver that you could pair alongside CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is so interchangeable. He can play the X, he can play Z, and he can play inside, kick him down, reduce him to the slot. Polk can play exclusively on the outside, a la Michael Gallup. That way you can move around Brandon Cooks and CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson in that Y split out tight end position. I think Polk, with his size, 6'1", believe a little over 200 pounds, fits the mold to be an opposite Z receiver to a primary X. I think this fit. He is too. You may not know this. He's from Lufkin, Texas. You know who else was from Lufkin, Texas? Des Bryant. He's got that big playmaking ability, a la Des Bryant. I like the fit of Jaylen Polk in Dallas quite a bit. So good pick by the Cowboys here. Fantasy-wise,
we'll see, man. They're going to throw the ball a lot. Probably.
I don't know.
He'll be on the field. No running backs.
Yeah, it'll be on the field. There'll be some opportunity, but not an elite fantasy type ceiling for Polk. But I like the NFL fit. Let's move down the board a little bit more. We've got the Arizona Cardinals. Jermaine Burton, the once Georgia wide receiver turned Alabama playmaker, going to Arizona to pair up with Michael Wilson, Trey McBride, as well as their first-round pick, Brian Thomas Jr. Scroll down the board a little bit more in round 3, and we've got Javon Baker staying in Florida, going to play with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Jay, with Ridley off to Tennessee, I kind of like this fit of Javon Baker to the Jacksonville Jaguars as well. I think that is a very good fit for them. You got the athletic tight end Theo Johnson going to the Washington Commanders. They need a tight end in the worst way. So we had some Pearsall. We had Brooks. We had Trey Benson. We had multiple running backs. Who was the pick from this round that you really, really liked?
Honestly, it's probably Javon Baker. If I'm picking a guy that could potentially get targets and have an impact at the NFL level pretty quickly, like Baker could easily win that outside wide receiver role. Like we talk about Gabe Davis signing there, could have a role, but if halfway through the season, 3/4 way through the year, Javon Baker's beating him out because he has a more diverse route tree and can do more at the X position, I mean, I don't think we should be shocked. We know that Christian Kirk's going to be good. We know they have a good tight end in Evan Ingram, but if they can figure out the outside wide receiver position and it's not Gabe Davis because he's just not good enough to assume that role, it could easily be Javon Baker. So he could be a guy who has a high ceiling in an offense where they're going to pass the ball 600 times because their defense simply isn't very good. So I'm kind of liking that pick of all the ones in the third round. I don't mind Polk either. I think it could be a good fit down the line because Dallas is going to have Dak for probably at least 2 seasons, and we'll see what they try to do. But honestly, if you're just talking about with Trevor Lawrence on the Jags, they throw the ball a lot. Like, if Baker can assume a role in that offense, it could be pretty damn good for fantasy football.
All right, Jay, let's go to round 4. Let's go to round 4 and kind of rapid fire these. You got the Panthers going with Braylon Allen, running back out of Wisconsin, at the top of the 4th round. So right at the start of day 3.
People would like that.
Braylon Allen to Carolina. I think a lot of people would like that. Not a lot of hype and enthusiasm for freaking, what's his name, Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders. So I think people would really like this fit. What's happening?
Oh, I'm laughing at the picks further down. But we can go next because my New England Patriots, Ray, we get a starting quarterback, Spencer Rattler, quarterback out of South Carolina. I don't know how I feel about it, though.
Why?
It's interesting. So, okay, we see what they did now, right? They have Spencer Rattler. They got who did they pick up? They picked up. No, I don't remember who they picked. It was Keon Coleman and McMillan were the 2 wide receivers they picked up. But why not just take Drake May? Like, why not just take Drake May instead of Rattler? It's interesting. I don't hate it, but I would like getting Spence. I do think he's better than people give him credit for, and I'd want to see him in that offense. But in my opinion, it's like, just take Drake. He's there waiting for you. Take him. I like Cooper DeJean, who they took at the back of the first round, but ultimately, give me Drake, and I'd be pretty happy. But Blake Corum, somehow, magically, Ray, falls to the Chargers in the 4th round. Yep. Like, there's no way that's happening. There's no. This is Matt Miller just making it happen for Jim.
It might happen.
You really think he's gonna fall behind all those running backs?
I mean,
I don't know, man. I like Blake Corum a lot.
This is not.
But
this
behind
is not
Braylon Allen, behind Trey Benz, like, come on, man, he's better than all those guys.
He's 4 picks behind Braylon Allen, so I don't really care about that. And he came off of the board. There were 3 running backs that were taking ahead of him. Outside of Braylon Allen, it was Benson, Brooks Benson, and Wright. So he's coming off the board as RB5. I don't think this is a crazy draft capital landing spot idea. And honestly, I don't think it changes. Take him, okay, reverse him with Nick Chubb. I mean, not with Nick Chubb, with Trey Benson in the back of the 3rd. I don't think it changes his rookie draft outlook. I think the fact that he lands in Los Angeles with his former coach, with the team that wants to run the ball, I'm fine with it. Blake Corum in LA, I'm good with that pick.
Would he be your RB1? He'd probably be my RB1.
Who did Dallas take in the first?
Brooks.
Well,
Brooks could be pretty good. But like Corum with Harbaugh is literally...
He probably is.
It should make him RB1 because he's going to be good, right? He's going to be good.
Probably
so.
Is. The Giants take Marshawn Lloyd here right after a few picks, one pick after Blake Corum. So you get Marshawn Lloyd, 3 running backs off of the board within the first 10 picks of round 4. You got Jamari Thrash going to the Jets, Audric Estime to the Raiders. We also have in round 4, Jared Wiley, the tight end out of TCU, going to Philadelphia. Luke McCaffrey following in his father's footsteps, not his brother's footsteps, going to the Denver Broncos. Old Ed McCaffrey out there doing work in Denver. Luke McCaffrey, wide receiver out of Rice, going to the Denver Broncos. You got Malik Washington. I actually like this fit of the Virginia wide receiver going to the Houston Texans. You have Michael Pratt, quarterback out of Tulane, going to the Green Bay Packers to back up Sean Clifford and Jordan Love. The Texans take Cade Stover, tight end out of Ohio State. The Ravens select Bucky Irving, and my goodness, Jay, oh boy, Will Shipley, running back out of Clemson to the Kansas City Chiefs at the back of the 4th round. Ben Sinnott, tight end out of Kansas State, to the San Francisco 49ers. Jay, you know I have been pumping Will Shipley for some time now. I think this young man is a lot better than people give him credit for. I believe he suffers from just Devy fatigue. He's just been in the space for so freaking long. But Will Shipley to the Chiefs as a complimentary back to Isaiah Pacheco, maybe the upgraded version of Jerick McKinnon. How do you feel about Will Shipley in Kansas City?
I like me some White Lightning. So I think it'd be a great fit in Kansas City. But yeah, you talk about McKinnon, who really didn't do a whole lot this year. We expected a little bit more from him, but maybe, just age has finally got to him, skills diminishing a little bit. But, even Malik Washington going to Houston and McCaffrey in Denver, we talk about how are they going to build around JJ McCarthy. Well, getting Luke McCaffrey could actually be a benefit and could be a guy who actually could get some targets throughout the season. I actually also like Estime going to the Raiders. Like, could he beat out Zamir White down the stretch as the better running back?
Absolutely not.
You think there's no way?
No, none, zero.
I wouldn't go that far. I think he could. I really do. I also like Thrash on the Jets, not for fantasy, but I think he could be a great fit in the slot with Aaron Rodgers. I think
you hate
that's
Bowers on the Jets, but you like that Jamari Thrash to the Jets.
Well, he's not going to, dude, as a 4th rounder and not for fantasy football, I think it's just a good NFL fit.
All right,
but how do you feel about Shipley on the Chiefs? Would he be your RB1 over Blake Corum?
No, he wouldn't be RB1. He wouldn't be RB2 or 3. But
any hope for Bucky Irving in Baltimore?
Yeah, in the Justice Hill role, Derrick Henry's older, right? And the Baltimore Ravens, their goal, I believe, Jay, if I just had to put my NFL hat on, it's not to get Derrick Henry the rushing crown. It's to win a goddamn Super Bowl. It's making sure Derrick Henry is ready for the playoffs. It's ready for Kansas City. It's being ready for Buffalo. So I do believe that whomever the backup running back is to Derrick Henry, whether that be Justice Hill, whether that be Keaton Mitchell coming back from injury, or whether that be Bucky Irving, will have a role in Baltimore's offense. 100% believe that with every fiber in my body. Henry's going to get the valuable work, the goal line touches, primary of the carries, but you better believe that their goal is not for him to lead the league in rushing again, get another rushing title. He's already done that. He's gone over. He's hit all the milestones from a running back. What they want to do now is win, keep Derrick Henry fresh. So, yeah, put another running back in there. I would love that. I would absolutely love a running back for if I were a fan of the Baltimore Ravens to come in and back up Derrick Henry. But I like Shipley in Kansas City. I think he would be exactly what I've talked about. There's a difference between running backs that can catch the ball and running backs that can be deployed as pass-catching weapons. And I believe Shipley could be an excellent complement to what Isaiah Pacheco does. So I do like that fit in Kansas City. Let's scroll down and go through round 5 of this mock. You got Ray Davis going to the Arizona Cardinals, running back out of Kentucky. Tip Ryman, the tight end out of Illinois, going to the New England Patriots. They just continue this run of taking offensive players that you wish they would have taken some better ones a little bit earlier. Isaiah Williams, wide receiver out of Illinois. They're just getting all the players drafted, going to the Washington Commanders. You got Bub Means, wide receiver out of Pitt, going to the Falcons. Who else do we have? Jacob Cowing to the Cincinnati Bengals. Seems a little redundant with them having Ricky Pearsall. The Broncos take Isaiah Davis, running back out of South Dakota State. Taj Washington, I like the little slot receiver out of USC, going to the Indianapolis Colts. Dylan Johnson, the slow running back out of Washington, going to the Rams. We know the Rams are going to take a running back because that's what they do. And the fast one, Isaac Guerendo, the fastest running back at the scouting combine. He has elevated his draft stock to the 5th round and going to the Minnesota Vikings. So Isaac Guerendo to the Minnesota Vikings. We scroll down the board. Looking for offensive skill position players, you got Devin Leary, quarterback out of Kentucky, going to the Saints. Tyrone Tracy, the explosive running back out of Purdue, also going to the New Orleans Saints. Anything in here that gets you even remotely excited, Jay?
I mean, the Rams drafted Kyron Williams, and he was the slowest running back at the scouting combine, so I have to be interested with Dylan Johnson a little bit. And you passed over Will Reichard. Come on, Ray. Kicker out of Alabama, 5th rounder. Shout out Will Reichard. Great kicker. Great kicker. Would be great in Jacksonville. They need a good kicker. But Taj Washington in Indy, any hope for him there behind Josh Downs? Probably not, right? Unless he gets hurt.
I like
and
Taj
I think you're overrating Cowing. I think you're overstating Cowing a little bit because you could have Pearsall outside, have Cowing in the slot, and that would work. But again, I see your point about like
that's a lot of
upside
hope
and
yeah.
I'm just saying he could actually find a role in the offense relatively quickly.
I'll tell you, Tracy in New Orleans. I know he's old. I get all of that, but man, he can run. He's a long strider. He's got some speed. In this New Orleans Saints backfield what'd you say? Could he replace Jamal
like the
Williams?
Oldest backfield in the NFL. Kamara and Jamal Williams. Let's ride. And then who did they draft last year?
It's pretty Kendra. All right. Round 6. Now we're getting into
dirty.
We're getting into that 4th, 5th round of your rookie drafts right here. Round 6. You got Jaquan Jackson out of Tulane, speedy receiver. He looked a lot faster in Mobile than he tested. You've got him going to the Minnesota Vikings. Who else do we have? Tanner McClan, tight end out of Arizona, going to the Jets, so they double tap tight end. Jordan Travis going to the Atlanta Falcons. Quarterback, Florida State, hurt his leg at the end of last season. Jaheim Bell, tight end out of Florida State, going to the New Orleans Saints, who just have a bevy of picks down here in the later rounds. You got Dallin Holker, tight end out of Colorado State, also going to the Cincinnati Bengals. Xavier Weaver, wide receiver out of Colorado, going to the Steelers. Cornelius Johnson, wide receiver out of Michigan, going to the Rams. You have Cody Schrader, the running back out of Missouri, former D2 running back turned SEC leading rusher or leading ball carrier, touch getter. Cody Schrader going to the Buffalo Bills out of Missouri. We also have in round 6, tight end Eric All going to the Los Angeles Rams. Running back out of Alabama, Jace McClellan, going to the San Francisco 49ers. And big Johnny Wilson, the wide receiver out of Florida State, going to play with Jordan Love in Green Bay, second to last pick in round 6.
That's really interesting, Ray. I kind of like that Johnny Wilson pick. He does kind of remind me of a better version of Allen Lazard. Like Allen Lazard when he was at Iowa State, he played outside, but he definitely looked like he'd succeed more as a big slot. You look at Johnny Wilson in college, played outside, but looks like he could operate slightly better as a big slot potentially in the NFL. And the reason why I like the fit is because LaFleur had Lazard on the team. He knows how to work with these kind of receivers. He knows how they can succeed in the NFL, and he did that with Lazard, and obviously Aaron Rodgers was a big part of that, but I think it'd be an interesting fit. And then, of course, Cody Schrader, I'd have some shares because he could be the thump to James White's Lightning potentially. And if they choose to run the ball more this year, I think it would be good for the Buffalo Bills. So I definitely have some shares of Schrader because I do like him quite a bit. McClellan on San Francisco, you got to pay attention, but probably not going to get much playing time behind McCaffrey. Oh, boy. We got a couple to finish up round 7. So in the 7th round, we have Marcus Rosemy-Jack Saint, wide receiver out of Georgia, going to the Minnesota Vikings. The Dallas Cowboys take another running back because Jonathan Brooks may not be ready to start the season. So they take Kendall Milton out of Georgia. You like Kendall Milton?
There. I do like Kendall Milton. I think he is what he is, right? I like Kendall Milton, and there in the 7th round. I'll just say this as somebody who's watched and followed the Dallas Cowboys all his life, and if you are too, they use their running backs, whether it's Troy Hambrick, Julius Jones, Rico Dowdle, they will give you a shot. If they draft you, they're probably going to play you. So I'd have some interest in Kendall Milton to the Dallas Cowboys, even in the 7th round, Jay. Even if it were a waiver wire pickup, 4th round, I'm not telling you I'm taking them with no 2nd round pick, but I would have interest in Kendall Milton going to Dallas. Seattle takes A.J. Barner, tight end out of Michigan. Brevin Ford-Spann goes to Houston Texans, the tight end from Minnesota. I don't have a lot of interest in him. Jordan Whittington goes to the Carolina Panthers. No thank you with that one. Michael Wiley, running back out of Arizona to Tennessee. Nope. Amani Bailey, running back out of TCU to Green Bay. Nope. Anaya Smith, wide receiver out of A&M to Houston. Not really. Ryan Flournoy, wide receiver out of Southeast Missouri State. Tavian Robinson, Kentucky. Jalen Coker, Holy Cross. And then we've got Trey Knox, tight end out of South Carolina to Tennessee. What else do we have?
At the bottom of the draft.
Joe Milton, almost Mr. Irrelevant, to the New York Jets. Joe Milton
Let's go.
Going to the New York Jets with the 256th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. They take the big arm quarterback to sit behind Aaron Rodgers for a year or two or three or however long Aaron Rodgers wants to play for. So there we go. 7 rounds, Matt Miller. Anything in this round shock you, surprise you, get you interested? For me, it's Kendall Milton to Dallas here, knowing that in this mock, they also took Jonathan Brooks in the second round, who may or may not be ready to start the season. And Debro said the new super-powered Zach Wilson. Lovely.
Man, I would 100% draft Joe Milton if he was on the Jets. 100%. He may be absolutely nothing, but Ray, you never know. You never know. And once people see that arm in an NFL game, my goodness, you could give me a third rounder, and I
was on the Joe Milton train back in 2019 when he was on Michigan. When he was on the Michigan Wolverines, I was very excited when he wore number 5, and I was like, here we go. I've since
my 5th round picks on
I've
Joe
gotten
Milton.
off of that train. It stopped, and I jumped off as quick as possible. No, thank you. You and Scott Connor can draft all the damn Joe Milton you two want, because he said he'll draft him too. So y'all can take him. Any quarterback on a 53.
That ADV, baby.
I will pass on Joe Milton to the Jets with the last pick in the NFL draft. But there we go. Shout out to Matt Miller, who put in a lot of work. I don't even know what goes into doing a 7-round NFL mock draft. Jay, favorite pick for me in this draft, and maybe I really like the player, and I think the fit would work really well. It's Ricky Pearsall, man. I think he in Cincinnati, Jay, is probably in this mock my favorite. I just think he fits very well with what Joe Burrow and that offense, what they want to do. So if Pearsall was there as a top 50 pick, he went 49th overall to the Cincinnati Bengals. This was probably one of my favorite picks in this mock from Miller. And if this were to happen, I think Pearsall's rookie draft value would get an instant shot in the arm, and he would be elevated. He's a very good receiver with probably the best hands in this class overall. What pick for you? And it's hard to narrow this down to one fantasy football fit, but what's the pick for you that really kind of hit home?
I think it's Brian Thomas Jr., actually. You know, he's a guy who we've seen routinely mocked in the 20s, but if you make him a top 12 selection, at that point, he's definitely in contention for that first tier. He's not quite as talented as these guys, but man, when you watch his tape, he's so explosive, so dynamic, and with the size he possesses, could be a phenomenal red zone threat for Kyler Murray that he desperately needs, because while Michael Wilson is good, Brian Thomas Jr. is like a souped up version in just about every single way. So now they have that vacant spot. If they don't go with Marv, I think that Brian Thomas Jr. will be a phenomenal fit in Arizona for a team that's probably going to pass a lot in 2024.
Yeah, BTJ being the consolation prize for them moving back off of the number 4 overall pick. I mean, I still would prefer Marvin Harrison Jr., but I think this would be a good fit for Brian Thomas Jr., and this would put him in that range of sort of locked in, cemented top 4 receivers in the 2024 class. Derek Brown, D-Bro in the building, said BTJ, if they ask him to be Dollar Tree DK, then he should have a good rookie season. Yeah, I would think if he were to go there, he could be the number 1 wide receiver target, Jay, but I would highly envision that offense looking a lot like Kansas City runs their offense and things flowing through McBride, the tight end, which would be very good for those Trey McBee shares. And speaking of Trey McBride, one more time before we get out of here, not so shameless plug, we are giving away a signed Trey McBride jersey on draft night. So use the promo code DDD for entry. You get 2x your entry through this week and this week only. Trey McBride, Trey McBeast giving this joint away during the Destination Devy draft stream. Excited for this one. And Derek Brown said it, tight end 1 in 2024. Been talking about Trey McBride for a long time now, so I'm glad that one hit for your boy GQ in 2023. Anything you want to say before we get out of here, Jay? Good people, good interaction. I just want to thank everybody for being here. I have messed up the outros for the past couple of weeks. JRich, you going to take us out today, baby. Take us out the right way. No super chats. Get us up out of here, Jay.
All right, so I want to take this time
hold
to
on.
tell everyone.
Hold on. Diggs trade. What? Hold on now. Hold on.
No, it's April Fool's Day, people.
Yeah, stop,
come on,
Alex. Yeah,
like,
stop.
Come on,
stop,
man.
Stop.
This.
Go ahead.
We'll talk
Jay.
about it next week.
Get us out of here.
People,
Get us out of here.
Here's what I will say. The draft stream is coming. You guys should get excited because it's going to be big. It'll be the biggest one on the internet.
It'll be the biggest.
And I'm not just saying that. We may start poaching people from their own draft stream to get them onto ours. You know why? Because it'll be more fun. It'll be more exciting. And we have so much stuff to give away. Promo code DDD. 100% deposit match up to $100 on UD. As Ray said, 2 entries into the contest until the end of the week. And then you'll only get 1. So you better get into it right now. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe to the channel for all of our future content. And watch the LSU Iowa game because it is going to be a banger tonight. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. From Ray, from me, follow us on Twitter or X. It's your boy JRich, Ray GQ. Follow Destination Devi on Twitter as well. And we'll see you guys next week. We're out. Peace.